The audio file appeared online at 2:47 in the morning. No one knew where it came from. No source, no explanation. Just a 23-second clip uploaded to a forum used by journalists and investigators. The title was simple: Palace, listen. Within minutes, it was downloaded 40 times. Within an hour, thousands. Because what people heard in those 23 seconds changed everything. It was a voice. Male, calm, but firm. The kind of voice trained not to panic. In the background, there was the faint echo of footsteps on marble, a door closing softly. Then the words, "She's not in her room. I've checked twice. The bed hasn't been touched." A pause, static. Then another voice, older, sharper. "Have you told anyone?" "No, sir. Only you. Keep it that way." "Find her now." The recording ended. That was it. 23 seconds. But it was enough, because the voices were not random. Security analysts who studied the clip confirmed it within hours. The accent, the phrasing, the formality. It matched the communication style used by royal protection officers. Barely audible, there was a third sound. A woman's voice, faint, distant, but clear enough. She said a name, a royal name if you're hooked already. Hit that subscribe button. This story gets darker, and you won't want to miss what happens next. The media moved fast. News outlets picked up the story by dawn. At first, they were cautious. Unverified audio. Alleged leaked recording. They cared about the mystery. Who was missing? Why was a guard afraid to report it? And why had the audio been leaked now? Theories flooded social media. Some said it was a hoax. Others believed it was real but old from years ago. A few claimed it was part of a cover-up. Something the palace had hidden. Something they never wanted the world to hear. But the most chilling theory was the simplest. What if it was recent? What if someone right now was missing? By midday, the palace released a statement. It was short, almost dismissive. The circulating audio file is unverified and does not relate to any current incident involving members of the royal family. We do not comment on security matters. Something else surfaced. A photo. Blurry. Taken at night. It showed the side entrance of a palace building. The timestamp read 3 weeks earlier. In the corner of the frame, barely visible, was a figure. A woman in a long coat. Her face turned away from the camera. Alone. The photo was posted with a single question. Is this her? No one knew for sure, but the image spread like wildfire. And then, the anonymous account that posted it went dark, deleted, vanished. Now, the world was asking a different question. If the audio was real, and the photo was real, then where was she now? The palace said nothing more, but silence in moments like this only makes people believe the worst, and somewhere. In a small room far from cameras and reporters, a man sat listening to the audio file on repeat. His hand trembled as he pressed. Play again. He knew that voice. He had worked beside that guard for 6 years. Asterisk. His name was Daniel Thornton. He hadn't worked at the palace in 2 years. No drama, no headlines. He told people he wanted a quieter life, a job with less pressure. But that wasn't the truth. Daniel left because he saw something. Something he wasn't supposed to see now. Sitting in his cramped apartment with the audio playing on his laptop, all of it came rushing back. He remembered the night. It was late autumn, cold. The kind of cold that seeps into stone buildings and makes every hallway feel like a tomb. He had been doing rounds. Standard protocol. Checking doors, checking locks, making sure everything was secure. That's when he heard it. A voice raised, angry. It was coming from the East Wing. A private area. Somewhere guards were told to avoid unless called. Daniel hesitated. But something in that voice made him stop. He moved closer, through a partially open door. He saw her. She was standing near a window, her back to him, her shoulders shaking. She was crying, and across from her, another figure, a man, tall, well-dressed, speaking in a low, controlled tone. The kind of tone that sounds calm but carries a threat. Daniel couldn't hear the words, but he saw her flinch. He saw her step back. Then the man reached out, not violently, but firmly, his hand on her arm. Holding her in place, Daniel should have walked away. He should have pretended he saw nothing, but he didn't. He cleared his throat. The man turned. His face was cold, unreadable. "You're in the wrong wing," the man said. Daniel nodded. "Yes, sir. My mistake." He left quickly, his heart pounding. The next day he was reassigned. Moved to a different shift. Different area. No explanation given. A week later, she was gone. Not missing. Not officially. Just absent. The kind of absence that gets explained away with a polite statement. Taking time for personal matters. Resting privately. No further comment. Daniel asked questions. Quietly. Carefully. He was told to stop, and when he didn't, he was given a choice: resign or be dismissed. So he resigned. He told himself it was the smart move, that he had no proof, that he was just a guard and she was royalty. He realized something. He wasn't the only one who saw something wrong. Someone else had been inside those walls. Someone else had heard the fear in her voice, and someone had finally leaked the proof. Daniel closed his laptop. His hands were still shaking. He thought about calling someone, a journalist, an investigator, but who would believe him? He had no evidence, just a memory, just a suspicion. And yet he couldn't do nothing. He opened his phone, scrolled through old contacts, found a name he hadn't used in years: Marcus Cole, a former colleague. A man who left the palace the same year Daniel did. For similar reasons, Daniel typed a message. "Did you hear the audio?" 3 dots appeared, then a reply. Yes. Daniel's pulse quickened. Do you know who she is? Another pause. Daniel stared at the screen. He knew what this meant. Meeting Marcus meant crossing a line. It meant admitting that the audio was real, that the palace was hiding something. It meant becoming part of the story, but he had already made his choice the moment he pressed play. He typed back where. The reply came fast. The old bridge. Noon. Tell no one. Daniel set his phone down. His apartment felt smaller now. The walls too close. The silence too loud outside. The rain began to fall. Soft at first, then harder. Somewhere, the palace gates stood tall and quiet. The kind of quiet that makes people think everything is fine. But Daniel knew better, because he had seen the cracks. And now, the world was starting to see them too. Asterisk, the bridge was old. Stone and iron, built over a river that ran slow and gray through the edge of the city. It wasn't the kind of place tourists visited, just locals. People passing through. Daniel arrived early. He stood near the center, hands in his coat pockets, watching the water below. The rain had stopped, but the air still smelled damp, cold. He checked his phone. No new messages. Then he saw him. Marcus Cole walked slowly, his face half hidden under a hood. He glanced around before stepping onto the bridge. His movements were careful, deliberate. When he reached Daniel, he didn't shake hands. Didn't smile. He just looked at him. "You shouldn't have reached out," Marcus said quietly. Daniel frowned. "You replied, 'I know.'" Marcus exhaled. "That's the problem." They stood in silence for a moment. The sound of traffic hummed in the distance. Finally, Marcus spoke again.
Audio.
"It's real." Daniel felt his chest tighten. "You're sure?" "I recognized the voice." The guard. "His name is Peter Moss. He still works there. East Wing Detail." Daniel nodded slowly. And the woman. In the background? Marcus looked away. His jaw tightened. Her. Daniel didn't need to ask who. He already knew. Is she? I don't know, Marcus said. No one does. That's the point. What do you mean? Marcus leaned against the bridge railing. He kept his voice low. 3 weeks ago, there was a lockdown. Internal, not public. Staff were told it was a drill. But it wasn't. Something happened that night. Security protocols went active. Doors were sealed. Communications were restricted. Why? Because someone left. Or tried to. Daniel's pulse quickened. I don't know for sure, Marcus said, but that's what people whispered. The ones who were there, the ones who saw the guards moving, the cars leaving in the middle of the night, and the audio. Recorded that same night. Someone had a phone. Someone recorded the cum system, and then they waited. Why wait? Marcus turned to face him. His eyes were hard, because leaking it immediately would have gotten them killed. The word hung in the air, killed. Daniel swallowed. You think they'd actually asterisk, I think people who protect power don't play by normal rules, Marcus said. I think silence is bought. And I think anyone who threatens that silence disappears. Then why are you here? Marcus smiled. But it wasn't warm, because I'm tired of pretending I didn't see anything. He reached into his jacket. Pulled out a folded piece of paper. This is a list, Marcus said. Names, guards, staff, people who were working that night. People who might know something. Daniel took the paper. His hand felt heavy. What am I supposed to do with this? Nothing. Or everything. Marcus laughed. Low, bitter. The police. You think they'll investigate the palace? You think they'll touch this? Daniel stared at the list. 7 names. Handwritten. One of them leaked the audio, Marcus said. I don't know who, but someone on that list has proof. Real proof. Photos. Documents. Maybe even video. And if I find them, then you'll have a choice. Same choice I had. Which is, Marcus stepped back. He pulled his hood up. Whether you want to be the person who stayed quiet, or the person who spoke. He turned and started walking away. Wait, Daniel called. Marcus stopped. Didn't turn around. What happened to you? Daniel asked. After you left, why didn't you say anything? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke. His voice barely above a whisper. Because they made me an offer. Money. A clean record. A quiet life. All I had to do was forget, and you took it. I did. Then why help me now? Marcus finally turned. His face was shadowed, but his eyes were clear. Because I didn't forget. He walked off the bridge and disappeared into the streets. Daniel stood alone. The paper in his hand felt like it weighed 100 pounds. He unfolded it again. Read the names. Peter Moss, Samuel Green, Claire Ashford, David Lynn, Rachel Holt, Thomas Vale, Emma Price, 7 people. One of them knew the truth. Daniel looked at the river below. The water moved slow, silent. He thought about walking away, throwing the list into the current, going back to his quiet life, but he knew he wouldn't. A voice full of fear, and no one was answering for it. Daniel folded the paper, put it in his pocket, and made a choice. The first name on the list was Peter Moss, the guard from the audio. Daniel knew finding him wouldn't be easy. Active palace security didn't just meet with former staff, especially not about leaked recordings. But Daniel had one advantage. He knew where Peter lived. It was a small flat on the south side of the city. Close to the palace? Close enough to be called in at any hour. Daniel had been there once, years ago, for a staff gathering. Back when things felt simpler. He stood across the street now, watching the building. 2nd floor. Corner window, the lights were off. Daniel checked his phone. It was nearly 8 in the evening. Peter should be home by now, unless he was working, or unless he'd already run. Daniel crossed the street, climbed the stairs, knocked. No answer. He knocked again. Harder. Still nothing. He tried the handle. Locked. Daniel stepped back, looked at the door. He could leave. Walk away. Pretend he never tried. But then he noticed something. The door frame. It was scratched. Fresh marks near the lock, like someone had forced it open. Recently, Daniel's heart began to race. He pushed the door. It gave slightly. Not locked. Just stuck. He pushed harder. The door swung open. Inside, the flat was dark. Silent, Daniel stepped in slowly. No response. He moved through the small hallway, into the living room, and then he saw it. Furniture overturned. Papers scattered. Drawers pulled open. The place had been searched. Torn apart, Daniel's stomach dropped. He moved toward the bedroom. The door was half open. He pushed it the rest of the way and froze. Peter Moss was sitting on the floor, his back against the bed, his face pale, his eyes wide. He was holding a phone in one hand. The screen was cracked. In the other hand, he held a knife, not in defense, in his lap, like he'd been deciding what to do with it. Peter looked up, saw Daniel. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Peter's voice came out, hoarse, shaking. "You shouldn't be here. I just want to talk." Peter laughed, a bitter, broken sound. Talk. About what? About how I'm a dead man? What happened? Peter stared at him. His grip on the knife tightened. "They came here, tonight. 2 of them. Told me I had one chance to explain where the recording went. I told them I didn't leak it. They didn't believe me. Did they hurt you?" "Not yet." Peter's voice cracked. "But they will. They said I have 24 hours. Either I give them a name, or I'm gone." Daniel stepped closer. Slowly. "Who are they?" "You know who they are?" Peter said. "The people who clean up problems. The people who make sure stories don't get told, then leave. Get out of the city and go where?" Peter's eyes were red. "Tired? You think I can just disappear? They know where my family lives. They know everything." Daniel knelt down. "I level with him now. Peter, I need to know." "The audio." The woman's voice. "Was it her?" Peter closed his eyes. His head fell back against the bed. "Yes." The word hung in the air like smoke. Daniel felt his breath catch. "Where is she now?" Peter opened his eyes. Looked at him. "I don't know. I swear that night. She was there. In her room. Then she wasn't. We searched everywhere. Nothing. They told you to stay quiet. They told all of us. Anyone who talks gets buried. Not fired. Buried." Daniel's mind raced. "So who leaked it?" Peter shook his head. "I don't know. But whoever did, they're either very brave or very stupid." Daniel stood. He glanced around the room. "You can't stay here." "I don't have a choice." "Yes, you do." Peter looked up at him, confused. Daniel pulled out the list Marcus had given him. He folded it. Wrote something on the back. His address. He handed it to Peter. "Come here tomorrow morning, early, before anyone's awake. I'll help you figure this out." Peter stared at the paper. "Why would you help me?" Daniel met his eyes. "'Cause if they're willing to do this to you, then she's probably already dead." Peter's face went pale. Daniel turned to leave. But Peter's voice stopped him. "Daniel." He turned back. "If you go after this, if you keep digging, you won't survive it." Daniel didn't answer. He just walked out, back down the stairs. Into the street. The air felt colder now, sharper. He pulled his coat tighter and started walking. Behind him, Peter Moss sat alone in the dark, the knife still in his hand, trying to decide if he should use it on them or on himself. 2 streets over. Black car sat idling inside. A man watched Daniel walk away. He picked up a phone, dialed. He made contact with Moss. The man said quietly, a voice on the other end. Responded, cold, follow. Him, the man hung up, started the engine, and pulled into the street. Daniel didn't sleep that night. He sat at his kitchen table. The list spread out in front of him. A laptop open. Searching, he started with the second name. Samuel Green. A. Security officer. Mid-40s, 10 years with the palace, married, 2 kids. Daniel found his social media. Nothing recent. The last post was from 6 months ago. A family photo. Smiling normal. But the account hadn't been updated since. Daniel frowned. He kept searching. Found an obituary. Samuel Green. Died 4 months ago. Sudden heart attack. Daniel's chest tightened. He moved to the third name, Claire. Staff coordinator. Logistics, 20 years of service. He found her quickly. A professional profile. But her employment status had changed. Retired 3 months ago. Daniel clicked through. Found an article in a local paper. Small piece. 2 paragraphs. Veteran Palace staff member Claire Ashford has chosen early retirement to spend time with family. It sounded normal, polite, but something about it felt wrong. Daniel searched deeper. Found a forum. A discussion thread among former palace staff. Anonymous usernames, speculation, gossip. One comment stood out. Claire didn't retire. She was forced out. Something about the October incident. She asked too many questions. October, the same month as the lockdown. The same month as the audio? Daniel's hands were shaking now. He went to the 4th. Name, David Lynn. Security, night shift, young. Maybe 30. Daniel searched. Found nothing. No social media. No profiles. No records. It was like he didn't exist. Daniel typed the name into a broader search. Added palace guard. One result came up. A missing persons report. Filed 6 weeks ago. David Lynn. Last seen leaving his residence. Never returned. Daniel felt his stomach drop. He went through the rest of the list. Rachel Holt. Transfer requested. Relocated to a northern estate. No public contact. Thomas Vale. Left the country. Moved to Australia. Sudden. No explanation. Emma Price. Still active. Still working. No red flags. Daniel sat back. His heart pounding. 7 names. 1 dead. 2 missing. 3 silenced. 1 still inside Emma. She was the only one left who might talk. The only one still working at the palace. Searched for her. Found a work email. A general palace contact. Nothing personal. He hesitated. Contacting her directly would be dangerous. For both of them, but he didn't have a choice. He drafted an email. Short, vague, * Emma. My name is Daniel Thornton. I used to work East Wing detail. I need to speak with you about October. It's urgent. Please respond. He stared at the screen. His finger hovered over the send button. He thought about Peter, about the fear in his eyes, about the knife in his hand. He thought about Samuel Green, a heart attack. Convenient, he thought about. David Lynn, missing, gone. He clicked send. The email disappeared into the void. Daniel closed the laptop. Rubbed his face. Outside, the city was waking up. The sky turning pale. The streets filling with sound. His phone buzzed. A message. Unknown number. Stop looking. Daniel's blood went cold. He stared at the screen. Another message came through. You have no idea what you're getting into. Daniel's hands were shaking. He typed back, Who is this? No reply. He waited. 1 minute. 2. Then his phone rang. Unknown number. Daniel answered. Hello? A voice, Male, calm, cold. Daniel Thornton, former palace security. Resigned 2 years ago. Lives alone. No family nearby. Drives a blue sedan. License plate ending in 472. Daniel felt his chest tighten. Who are you? Someone who's trying to help you by threatening me, by warning you. The voice paused. You visited Peter Moss last night. You gave him your address. That was a mistake. Daniel's heart raced. How do you... We know everything, Daniel. We've been watching you since you sent that message to Marcus Cole. Daniel's mind spun. They'd been following him, listening. What do you want? I want you to stop. Delete the list. Forget about the audio. Move on. And if I don't... The voice went quiet for a moment. Then you'll end up like Samuel Green, or David Lynn, or worse. The line went dead. Daniel stood frozen. His apartment felt smaller now, suffocating. He moved to the window, looked outside. Across the street, a black car was parked. Tinted windows. Engine off. Someone was inside, watching. Daniel stepped back, his pulse hammering. He grabbed his coat, his keys, his laptop. He couldn't stay here. He opened the door, stepped into the hallway, and nearly collided with someone. Peter Moss. He was standing there, eyes wide, face pale. In his hand, he held a USB drive. We need to talk, Peter said. Not here? Then where? Then at the stairs. Somewhere they're not watching. Peter nodded. They moved quickly. Down the stairs, out the back exit, into the cold morning air. Behind them, the black car's engine started and began to follow. They didn't stop running until they reached the subway station, underground, crowded, cameras everywhere. But too many people to track. Daniel and Peter boarded a train heading east. They sat in the back, heads down, silent. Daniel kept glancing at the doors. Watching for anyone following, Peter gripped the USB drive like it was the only thing keeping him alive. What's on it? He stared at the floor. Finally, he spoke. Everything. Daniel's heart skipped. What do you mean, everything? Peter looked at him, his eyes red. Exhausted. Security footage. Deleted logs, emails, audio files, all from that night. How did you get it? I didn't. Someone else did. Someone who worked in surveillance. They gave it to me 2 days ago, told me to hide it. Said if anything happened to them, I should make it public. Daniel felt his stomach twist. And did something happen? Peter's face went pale. They found him yesterday. In his apartment? Overdose. They're calling it suicide. Oh. Daniel closed his eyes. Another one. Another name scratched off the list. Who was it? David Lynn. The name hit like a punch, David. The one listed as missing. He was dead, and now Peter had the proof he'd died protecting. Why didn't you leak it? Daniel asked. Because I'm a coward, Peter said bitterly. Because I thought if I stayed quiet, they'd leave me alone. But they won't. They never do. The train slowed. Pulled into a station, Daniel stood. Come on, they exited. Climbed back to the surface. The streets were busy now. Morning rush, Daniel led them to a small cafe, tucked into a side street. No cameras outside, cash only. They sat in the corner. Ordered coffee they didn't drink. Peter placed the USB drive on the table. What's your plan? He asked. Daniel stared at the drive. We go public. We send it to every journalist, every news outlet, every platform we can find, and then what? You think they'll just let us walk away? No. But at least the truth will be out there. Peter laughed, low, hollow. You really think the truth matters to these people? They'll bury it. They'll call it fake. They'll discredit us. Destroy us, maybe, but at least we tried. Peter shook his head. You don't get it. This isn't just about the audio. It's about what's on this drive. What they did to her. Daniel leaned forward. What? What are you talking about? Peter's voice dropped to a whisper. She didn't leave that night, Daniel. She tried to, but they stopped her. How do you know? Because it's on the footage. All of it. Her trying to get out. The guards blocking her. The argument. And then he trailed off. And then what? Peter's hands were shaking. And then she disappeared. Off camera. Just gone. And when we searched her room the next morning, everything was gone. Her clothes. Her belongings. Even the photos on the walls. Like she was never there. Daniel felt a chill run down his spine. What are you saying? I'm saying I don't think she got out. The words hung in the air. Daniel's mind raced. If Peter was right, this wasn't just a cover-up. It was something worse. Something darker. He reached for the USB drive. Then we release it. Today. Now, Peter grabbed his wrist. If we do this, we're dead. You understand that, right? There's no going back. Daniel met his eyes. There's already no going back. Peter hesitated. Then slowly, he let go. Daniel took the drive. Put it in his pocket. I know someone, Daniel said. A journalist? Independent. She doesn't work for the mainstream. She'll run it. No questions? And you trust her? I have to. Peter nodded. His face pale but resolute. They left the cafe. Walked 3 blocks to an internet hub. Public computers. Anonymous. Daniel sat down. Plugged in the drive, the screen loaded. Folder after folder. Hundreds of files. He opened the first video. Security footage. Black and white. Time-stamped. October 17th. 11:47 p.m., the hallway outside her room, the door opened. She stepped out. Wearing a coat, a bag over her shoulder, she walked quickly. Toward the east exit. Then 2 guards appeared. Blocked her path. She tried to step around them. They moved with her. Words were exchanged. The footage had no audio, but her body language said everything. She was scared. One of the guards reached for her arm. She pulled back. Then a third figure entered the frame. Tall, well-dressed. Daniel recognized him immediately, the man from 2 years ago. With her, the man spoke to the guards, gestured. They stepped aside. He approached her, calm, controlled. She tried to move. Past him, he grabbed her. Not gently, she struggled. He pulled her back. Through a side door at off camera, the footage continued. Empty hallway. Nothing. Daniel's hands were frozen on the keyboard. Peter stood behind him, silent. There's more, Peter said quietly. Daniel clicked through the files. Found another video, same night. Different camera. A stairwell, the man was dragging her down. She was fighting, crying at the bottom. Another door. He opened it. Pulled her through. The door closed. That was the last footage of her. Daniel felt sick. He closed the file. Opened another in email, internal, sent the next morning. Subject, situation resolved. All evidence removed. Staff briefed. No further action required. Signed by someone high up. Someone with authority. Daniel sat back. His breath shallow. This wasn't just a disappearance. It was an execution. Peter's voice broke the silence. Now do you understand? Daniel nodded slowly. He copied the files. Sent them to 3 different journalists. 3 different platforms, encrypted. Anonymous, he hit send. The files uploaded. It was done. Peter exhaled. What now? Daniel stood. Pulled the USB drive. Pocketed it. Now we run. They left the hub. Walked fast. Heads down. Across the street. The black car was waiting. The door opened. 2 men stepped out. Daniel grabbed Peter's arm. Move. They ran. The men followed. Daniel didn't look back. He just ran. Through alleys, Side streets. Anywhere with people, but the men were faster. One of them caught up. Grabbed Peter. Peter struggled. Shouted. Daniel turned. Saw them pulling Peter toward the car. He made a choice. He ran toward them. Tackled one of the men. They hit the ground hard. The man's hand went to his jacket, reaching for something, but before he could draw it, a sound cut through the chaos. Sirens. Police. Close. Getting closer. The second man cursed. Disappeared into the crowd. Daniel helped Peter up. Breathing hard, the sirens grew louder. Daniel pulled him away. Down the stairs, they boarded the first train. Any direction they sat, silent, shaking. Peter looked at Daniel. It's out there now. The world's going to see it. Daniel nodded. Yeah. And they're going to kill us for it. Daniel didn't answer. He just stared out the window, because Peter was right. They'd crossed a line, and there was no coming back. But somewhere, the files were being opened. The footage was being watched. The truth was spreading. And no matter what happened next, they couldn't bury it anymore. The train moved through the dark, and Daniel closed his eyes, knowing that by tomorrow, everything would change, for better or for worse.